Thank you for joining us, everyone. We're just going to give everyone 30 seconds or so just to enter from the waiting room, and we'll be back with you shortly. Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar, where we will be discussing the importance of insurance within superannuation. My name is Christine Howard and I'm a member account specialist. We meet with members on a regular basis, and part of our discussion is it is important of understanding the options available within your superannuation for insurance cover. It is one of our popular topics at our seminars, and hope by the end of this session you will have gained a further understanding of the importance of insurance cover. I recognise this is a heavy subject, but hope you stay with me as we talk through what can be a complex subject. Brighter Super acknowledges the traditional owners of lands we meet on today, and we pay our respect to elders past and present. We are proud to serve Queensland's 17 Indigenous councils, and we strive to provide positive outcomes for our members who identify as Aboriginal and or Torres Strait Islanders. It is important to understand that the information and examples contained in the webinar are general in nature and have been prepared without taking into account your individual objectives, financial situation or needs. It is important when making decisions about your super options that you obtain the relevant product disclosure statement and target market determination and consider your own personal circumstances. You can access these documents in the Privacy Policy and Financial Services Guide from the Brighter Super website. Today's presentation will run for about 30 minutes. Now, many of you have submitted questions already, which we have tried to incorporate into the presentation. You can also post the questions in the question and answer feature during our presentation today, which we will aim to answer directly. We have Peter Hoban standing by as a moderator today. Now, Peter's been with the fund for, over 11 years, and he's regularly out in the field providing super health checks to members in different regions all across Queensland. And I'd just like to invite Peter on now to say hello.
How you doing, everyone? Thank you so much for coming to today's presentation. Lots of great information, and I am looking forward to receiving your questions.
Thank you, Peter. We should have time for questions at the end, and we will try to answer as many as possible. We will also be running some poll questions throughout today's presentation. When the question pops up on your screen, please just click an answer that is appropriate to you. So, who is Brighter Super? Before we move on to our main subject, I'd like to take the opportunity to briefly explain who we are, as we have some non-members joining us today. The merger between LGIA Super and Energy Super, plus the acquisition of Suncorp Super, has enabled us to increase our size and scale. Yet we remain committed to investing in the personalised member services that you know and enjoy. We serve over 285,000 members with more than 34 billion in funds under management. And we receive double-digit returns for the balanced accumulation and balanced pension options for the full year to 2024. Now let's talk insurance. Insurance is something most people know is good to have. Most people have insurance for their assets like cars and homes. However, what a lot of people don't think about is insuring themselves. We insure our cars and our homes to make sure we have a way of getting from A to B and to make sure we will have a functional roof over our heads. But what happens when something happens to us? If we can't work temporarily? What if it's never again? Or what happens when we pass away? Our ability to provide an income for ourselves and our loved ones is paramount to this life. Without it, our life and the life of the ones we love could look very different. This is why making sure you are appropriately insured for the what ifs is as important, as even more important than other insurances we have in our life. And that is why I applaud you for joining this webinar today to learn more about what insurance you may have within your superannuation, along with how we can help to protect you and your family and how to get you there. So insurance can assist many Australians at difficult moments in their lives. Here are some statistics around why insurance is so important. In the 2023 financial year, $11.8 billion was paid out in insurance claims in the life insurance industry. Insurance can be provided to you by your superannuation fund, working to protect you and your loved ones. It's obvious here that these insurances within our superannuation provide significant financial protection, with the trustee working with the insurance company to ensure best member outcomes, and as a result, above 90% insurance acceptance rates on average. Insurance is there when it's needed most to provide financial support in the hardest of times when people are ill, grieving, or vulnerable. Protecting yourself and your loved ones through insurance gives peace of mind, knowing your finances are one less thing to worry about. So generally, your insurance fund will offer default insurance when you have a balance over 6,000 and you're over 25 years of age. These insurances are death insurances, total permanent disability insurance, and income insurance. These insurances are built into your superannuation account, with the premiums generally taken from the balance of your account. Let's have a look at each of these in a little more detail. We will be using the word underwriting during this presentation, so it's important to understand what the underwriting process involves. When you want to increase your insurance cover outside of life and age events, you generally need to go through an underwriting process. Don't worry, we'll cover what a life and age event is in more detail later in this presentation. This process means involving completing a detailed health questionnaire about your existing health conditions. As with any insurance application, it's important to answer this question honestly and accurately. The health questionnaire helps the insurer to determine how much cover is appropriate and at what cost. Death insurance is paid out on your passing as a lump sum payment to your beneficiaries. This is generally paid out along with the balance of your superannuation account, either when the account is closed or transferred to a reversionary beneficiary. Death cover can also be paid out if you've been diagnosed with a terminal illness, payable as a lump sum to you, along with the balance of your superannuation account if you choose. As mentioned previously, most super funds offer death insurance as a default level of cover. However, it can be increased or decreased if you believe that the default level isn't correct for you. As mentioned in our previous slide, if you are requesting an increase to your level of cover, this may need to go through an underwriting process. As a reminder, this is where the insurer may ask a series of health questions to determine if you are eligible to change and the premium they may charge. We will talk more about changing your level of cover later in this presentation. Death cover is important as it helps support your loved ones financially. The lump sum payment can be used to pay off the mortgage and other debts, provide you your children's education, or give your loved ones time away from work to grieve. Total permanent disablement, TPD, is an insurance that may cover you if you become injured or ill and are unable to work again in the future. This insurance is a one-off lump sum payment if you are totally and permanently disabled due to sickness or injury. The balance of your superannuation account is also usually paid out at the time of making a TPD claim, and you may be eligible to start a pension. There can be an assessment period from the time you become totally and permanently disabled to the time you make a claim, depending on the insurance you have, but generally it's 3 to 6 months. Just like death insurance, you can apply to increase or decrease this cover pending underwriting. TPD can be important because it provides a lump sum to help cover many changes that could happen if you were to become injured or become ill, unable to ever work again. This could be replacing lost income, making changes to your home, lifestyle changes, and possibly changes to cars. Income protection insurance is another type of insurance option available through your superannuation. This insurance generally provides frequent payments if you are temporarily unable to work in your occupation because of an injury or illness. There can also be a percentage of the benefit paid to your super. This amount you are paid depends on your sum insured, which is calculated as a percentage of your income. There is usually a waiting period that needs to be served before you can make a claim on income protection. And sometimes you may need to use all of your sick leave as well, depending on the type of income protection you have. Income protection is important as it will help cover your usual spendings and living expenses while you're unable to work. Like others, the insurance can be tailored pending the underwriting process. Now that we know what insurance we can have in our superannuation accounts, let's talk about how much insurance you may need. When we think about how much insurance we may need, we want to take into consideration a few key factors that can help us determine what level of cover may be right for us. This will help us understand the gap we need to cover and where insurance would be needed to protect the ones we love in our income. Some questions to ask yourself to help work this out could be, if something happens to my income, how much would just my partner's income provide? What assets would we have available to draw on from, if any? How much money would be needed for the future upbringing of children, e.g. childcare, schooling, university? Is there a house that would be sold or a mortgage that needs to be paid? Understanding ongoing living expenses for you and your family. What debts need to be paid either immediately or ongoing? Does my job carry an additional risk? Do I have the lifestyle factors to maintain? And how long until I'd like to retire? And does my income protection cover me for a long time? All these questions will help create a picture of what it might look like if you no longer had income or if you passed away. This can then help you understand the amount of insurance you may need to make sure your loved ones are looked after if something were to happen. So after thinking about these key factors and determining what might need to be covered with insurance, it's a great idea to find out how much insurance we need. So do you know how much insurance you have? Oh, thank you for that poll question. So probably a third of you do not understand what you have or are not aware of what insurance you have. 70% of you have an understanding of how much you're covered for, which is great. But, there's a little bit of a gap there. So interesting. So thank you for replying to that poll question. To help you with this, we have a calculator on our website that you can calculate how much insurance you need. And it's a great tool to use to give clarity around your insurance position. You can find this under the Insurance tab on our website. Ryder Super also offers personal financial advice around how much insurance you need through our intra-fund advice service. This is where a financial advisor can tell you how much insurance you need within your superannuation based on your personal circumstances and how much it would cost. This service is at no additional cost as it's part of your membership. We will talk about this service later in our presentation. So how do we go about changing our level of cover to what we need? A great way to increase your insurance for death only or death and TPD without going through the underwriting process is to apply to increase your insurance due to a life event. There can be different terms and conditions, so it's important to check your individual policy. So some of these events include marriage, divorce, birth or adoption of a child, or new mortgage or increasing your existing mortgage by at least 100,000. To be eligible, you need to apply within 90 days of the event or within 90 days of the day we send your annual member statement, as long as the event was within the last 12 months, and provide evidence of the event. The best place to find all things insurance is in the insurance section on our website, brightersuper.com.au. You can find this under the superannuation tab across the top of our homepage and then click on insurance. Here you can find our insurance guide and PDSs for each insurance product. Our insurance calculators to help determine your ideal level of insurance cover and learn more about how insurance works within your Brighter Super account. When looking at our insurance guides, please ensure you are reviewing the guide associated with the industry you work in. When applying for your cover, you generally have the option of applying for a unit-based cover or a fixed dollar cover. Unit-based cover means you apply for a number of units and each unit holds a value of cover. Generally, as you age, the value of these units decrease, meaning the value of your insurance cover will decrease, but the premiums may stay the same. Fixed dollar cover, as it sounds, means you apply for a set or fixed amount of insurance cover, which does not decrease as you get older. However, the premium for this cover may increase as you get older. We also offer occupational risk rating options to align with the type of work you do. For example, white-collar workers, which are those primarily, who work in an office environment, may be eligible for a lower premium due to the level of risk when at work than a blue-collar worker who may work in a manual handling role, for example. Members also have the option to transfer their existing insurance from one superannuation or one another superannuation fund to Brighter Super. As part of a consolidation, we can facilitate that with our transfer of insurance form, and you have your insurance transferred over without needing to go through underwriting again. It is important to note that if you transfer your super from one provider to another, your insurance cover with your new provider may be subject to a waiting period. You should make sure you know whether you have continuous cover or whether there is a gap. There are advantages to having insurances through your superannuation, such as premiums are taken straight from your super account, so there's no need to find the money as an out-of-pocket expense. Sometimes your employer will pay the premiums for you if it's built into your employment contract. Insurance is often provided as a default cover, meaning there is no need for a health check or physical to get these insurances. Premiums may be cheaper in superannuation, particularly if the fund uses group life cover. Premiums are generally tax deductible to the fund, and most super funds pass this tax deduction onto their members, whereas outside of super, only income protection premiums may be tax deductible. The deduction of insurance premiums from your super erode the value of your balance over time. Members have the option to make additional contributions to their super to offset the eroding effect. We can help you with our salary sacrifice calculator located on our website. Now, some members may want to know, how does someone make a claim if something happened to them or a loved one? And what's the process it will go through? Each claim is different and personalised to a person's circumstances and situation. However, there is a general process of events. First, either yourself or someone else, in the event of death, would need to contact the fund to advise you would like to make a claim. If you are able to make the claim yourself, you can start this process by logging into your member online account and clicking Make a Claim in the insurance section. Once this has happened, if applying online, you will complete the forms online or download the forms to be filled out. If not, the fund or the insurer will send forms to be completed by the member or beneficiaries. Once the forms are completed, they need to be returned to the insurer to be assessed. From here, there may be some back and forth to make sure the insurer has all the information they need to assess the claim. Next, the insurer makes a decision on the claim and will forward that to the trustee of the super fund. The trustee is by law responsible for the members' outcomes in both insurance and superannuation, which is why we work with the insurance companies on the members' behalf. The trustee will then review the decision and advise of the decision to the member's beneficiary or claimant. And if it is approved, the trustee will then pay the claim to the relevant claimants. Following that, what we have learned in this process today, what are your next steps? Check your insurance policies. It's important you understand what you're insured for currently. Then you can start the process of making sure you're correctly covered. If you are wanting to know your current level of cover, it's easy to find through your member online account. Once you log in, you can find the insurance tab on the left-hand side. This will show you your current level of cover, as well as options if you want to make changes to this insurance. Check your occupational risk rating. This is a nice and easy check through Member Online in the insurance section. By making changes to your risk rating, you may be able to save yourself some money in premiums. Determine the level of cover needed. This might be a good opportunity to speak with your loved ones about insurance and understand what cover you would need to have, in place if something were to happen to you. Speak about, the 9 key factors to consider and use the insurance calculator on our website to find out what cover and how much you might be needed. Book a super health check to get some personal financial advice with the fund. So what makes Brighter Super different to other superannuation funds? It's our commitment to personalised service. We have a dedicated team of member account specialists here to support you. If you'd like to talk to one of our staff, one-on-one for more general information about your superannuation, why not book in for a super health check? A super health check covers a variety of areas and includes reviewing your beneficiary nomination. If you would like to book now, there is a QR code on the screen. You will also receive a link to book a super health check in the coming days, alongside today's webinar recording. Our team services members all over Queensland with face-to-face services, also digital channels, so you can get some general guidance on a range of superannuation topics, no matter where you live or work. We offer a range of personal advice options suited to individual members' needs. If you're looking for specific information about making contributions or investment strategies, our intra-fund advice team can help. Book in an over-the-phone meeting with a financial advisor at no additional cost. 2 of the most common questions members ask as they approach retirement age: how much super do I need to retire? And do I have enough super? A retirement health check with one of our financial advisors will help you answer these questions. We also offer both a scaled and comprehensive personal advice service. This service takes on a complete view of your financial situation to tailor advice to suit your individual needs. It's a face-to-face meeting with one of our advice team in Brisbane and various regions over Queensland. Appointments may also be arranged via digital channels. The cost will depend on the complexity of the advice, and this cost may be deducted from your Brighter Super accumulation account. It's never too early to start planning for retirement, so talk to us to find out how we can help. Similar to today's insurance in Super webinar, our seminar webpage includes a range of upcoming webinar topics. Keep an eye on this page as we update it regularly. On the previous 2 slides, we discussed our range of advice services. These cover our super health checks and our intra-fund advice, both of which are at no additional cost to our members. 2 other types of advice, such as a retirement health check, scaled and comprehensive advice. So our next poll question for you is, after today's webinar, are you planning to get advice? Oh, thank you. That's really interesting. So it looks like those that probably weren't aware of how much they had in their insurances may be looking at getting advice. It's about, 33% of you that are looking to get some advice in regards to insurances or other matters. So thank you for, responding to that poll question. If you are working towards retirement and live in Brisbane, we invite you to our seminars. We are thrilled that retirement advocate David Kosh, also known as Koshi, will be joining us at these events. Supersize Your Super on the 15th of May in Brisbane City is perfect for those 10 to 15 years from retirement and planning your brighter retirement on the 15th of May and 30th of July in North Brisbane and Ipswich is ideal for those planning to retire in the next 10 years. We are also visiting Rockhampton on May 7th and 8th. We will be releasing some in-person dates in coming months for Townsville, Gold Coast, Toowoomba, Cairns, Sunshine Coast, Mackay, and of course, more webinars. If you're interested and would like to meet Koshi, visit brightersuper.com.au or scan the QR code on your screen to our event page. I have covered a lot of ground today, so remember you can also visit the resources tab for calculators and forms and info sheets for more information on what we've discussed. We've tried to answer questions throughout the webinar this afternoon, but I'll invite Pete to come on screen to ask any questions we couldn't get to in the Q&A chat.
That's excellent. Thank you, Christine. Yeah, a lot of information there. And we have had a few questions come through. One I can see from a member who is attending today, Thor. Chris is asking, I'm covered for death insurance with Brighter Super. Will Brighter Super honour my claim in the event I die, regardless of whether I make a claim with a different super fund? So essentially, if he's got multiple death policies with other super funds, would we pay our benefit?
Oh, thanks for the question. It's a great question too. Yes, because you can have more than one insurance policy, a death cover, and you can have multiple covers, for example. And yes, we would pay that out. It has nothing to do with your other claims that you might have elsewhere. So yes, you can have multiple. The only times that we might not do that is, say, for example, if a member had to income protection policies, that would be a different situation, and we'd recommend getting some advice on that because generally only one of those would be paid out.
Excellent.
Thank you, Pete. Was there any other
I
question?
would say generally if someone has multiple income protection policies, worth having a chat to someone about that. Another question that I had come through that deals with what you did touch on about occupational risk ratings. If someone wants to change their occupational risk rating, how can they do that?
Oh, another great question. I would recommend going through Member Online when you log into your account. If you go to the insurance tab, and then on the right section, it takes you through to the forms. So you could find a form through Member Online, or if you just go through into the website, you can actually find those forms as well. If you're having trouble on that, please feel free to call our contact centre. They're here between 8 and 5:30 p.m. and they can actually assist you with getting that form as well. So lots of ways to be able to adjust that.
Excellent. Thanks, Chris. And yeah, definitely, I would say that's something worth being aware of and checking. The savings in premiums can be substantial depending on your risk rating. And maybe time for one more question. So we've spoken, so this one's that's come through from Paul. We've spoken about all the insurances. Are insurances through superannuation mandatory?
Oh, another great question too. No, you do get default insurance as part of joining a super fund. Some employers, however, you check with your employer, may actually require you to have certain level of insurance, but generally speaking, insurance is not, something that you need to have in your account, and you can cancel it at any time. However, bearing in mind, if you did want to reinstate an insurance in your super and you cancelled that, then you would need to go through underwriting and you may have some health and lifestyle issues. So it is we do recommend getting advice before making those decisions to make sure that you're doing the right thing at that time. But no, don't generally need to have insurance, and you can cancel it if you're wanting to.
Yeah, insurance is strange. It's one of those things that you never know you need it until you need it.
Correct. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Pete, for, and I'm sure Pete's been answering some questions in the background as well. So, if you do have anything and we haven't answered them, we do have a team that will reach out to you as well to follow up on those questions. So again, thank you for taking the time to come along and attend our webinar. One last question before we bring things to a close. Overall, how satisfied were you with today's webinar? Thank you very much for attending today's presentation, and we hope to speak with you soon.